Welcome, everybody. Here, Sean Rhodes, Chief Systems Architect and author of Bulletproof Selling, a guide for systemizing sales on the battlefield of business. Here at Bulletproof Selling, we believe that hope is not a business strategy. And to make sure that we're replacing that hope with certainty, we do that through systems, the systems that top performers are using to get consistently better results. Now, this podcast series that we have, this live stream series we have, features insights from the top minds in sales, authors, speakers, experts, but also those folks that are out there managing sales teams like my guest is today. And our commitment is that every single episode of Bulletproof Selling comes with a sales system that we get to build with our guests. And that system you can use no matter the size of your business or the size of your goals. I'm super excited to be sharing our guest with you today. His name is Dave Copeland. He's in an industry that took a drastic shift in 2020, as a lot of industries did. But Dave has a different mindset about managing salespeople, keeping them accountable to time. And I'm really excited to get his insights for how he's able to have such a successful career as a sales leader. So, Mr. Copeland, welcome to the show, sir. Tell us about you, your industry, and we're going to have a good conversation just from the pre-show. I know we will. So let's go for it, sir. Talk to us.
Well, thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. And thanks to the audience for tuning in. I really appreciate this opportunity to share a little bit of my insight and that bulletproof selling solution with teams. I'm all about team, so we could have a long conversation about that. Really, my background, people said, how did you get involved? And my background is aviation, and also some General Motors sales and service and support, and then some MRO business, which I can explain later. But really how I got involved is kind of sharing the passion that my parents had. And my dad was in the Army and is a paratrooper. And yes, he did say one thing before he passed. He said, "Don't ever jump out of an airplane that has an operating engine." So I have not.
Good, my good insight.
Let's go. Not going to do that today. So I'll take that piece of advice. The other thing is he shared his passion for flying. He actually had a motor scooter before he had a car, so he could go to his airplane that he bought. So he did things a little bit of reverse order, which I thought was kind of cool, which led him to moving to Wichita, the air capital of the world, teaching my mother to fly, and she was a very avid air racer and involved in a lot of aviation, basically as president of the 99s, which is the International Organization of Licensed Women Pilots, which Amelia Earhart started.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it really goes back the history in our family of that. And then she got me involved in aviation when the day that she was going to get her pilot's license, which she achieved in 6 weeks from the first day that she had her first pilot's training lesson. She said, I think I forgot to get a babysitter. So she threw me in the back seat. She probably placed me in the back seat of my bassinet and a Piper Tri-Pacer, actually across the street from our business here in Wichita, Kansas, and we went flying. So they say you're kind of born into aviation. I was about 3 weeks late because I was
actually were. Okay.
So it kind of excelled from there, flying and involved in going to travel with them. We had a private airplane, access to that, and part of a dealership here in Wichita for Piper Aircraft Company. And so at that time, we flew to all 48 states. So we didn't really do the country club golfing scene. We did the flying scene. And my dad was a pediatric dentist as well. So he started the Flying Dentist Association. He flying Comanche Society. So we got involved in things like that. And it really kind of gets in your blood, as you know. And aviation is deep in my blood. And what I would like to share is, what I've learned through this experience that my parents kind of left me, leaving a legend and living a legacy. That's kind of one of the things I live by, is making sure that you achieve and exceed and leave something for somebody else, whether it's my sales team, whether it's somebody you meet at the gym, whether it's somebody you meet on the street. I think that's really important as we get more mature, or call experience, not age, in our lives. I think you kind of want to give back, and that's kind of where I'm at in my career, is to make sure that what did he do? What did Sean do? He left an impression on people around the world about bulletproof selling and how to really get through to making that purchase and keeping a customer for life. And that's really what I'm about. Also making a difference. That's a really big part of what I think about every day, is just don't do the job and make a difference. And it's with my team and with our customers and our prospects around the world. And I think that's something that, we sometimes get sidetracked about other things that are going on in our lives. But at the end of the day, what is the most important thing we can do?
And so let's talk about your team because unless somebody's just found you randomly, they probably are like, Mr. Copeland, I don't know what you do or who you do it for. So talk to us a little bit about your company, what they sell, and who they sell it to. Because obviously, we know you're in aviation, and that industry just took a drastic shift in 2020, especially commercial aviation. So talk to us a little bit about what your company does, what you sell, and who you sell it to.
Sure. So our company was founded about 57 years ago in Wichita, Kansas. It's Mid-Continent Instruments and Avionics as the primary company, and then we have a great power solutions entity called True Blue Power, and that's the shirt I'm wearing today. Okay. So I kind of shift back and forth, wear many hats around as we all do. But primarily, we started in supporting Beechcraft, and it's a well-known brand in general aviation and servicing and supporting things for them, avionics and instruments, and then we became building instruments and avionics. And then we assembled a team both here in Wichita, Kansas, and our other location in Van Nuys at the Van Nuys Airport in California. Mm-hmm. And we have probably the most prized people to both service, support, engineer, and sell aircraft instruments, avionics, and power solutions in the world. And what is that thing? What is the thing that we're known for? And really, that's it. Is we've been around for so long. The average tenure of our people in our service facilities is about 26 years.
Wow.
And that's the average. So we have some, the owner of our company, and I completely agree with this. I'm going to share you a secret of our sauce. Okay. Is our people is the secret of our company, because without great people selling great products and supporting them well, you're not going to get the performance. And sometimes companies put that in a reverse order, as it's all about the quarter, it's all about the month, it's all about that sale. That comes naturally and not without some hard work and in the background, and a lot of selling solutions that we have to provide, and relevancy that we have to provide to our customers along the way. But I think if you do the first thing right, is hiring great people and having them know their jobs and know their products and services that they're going to provide a great product that's well supported, and then the end result will be the performance. It's nothing new, but I call it the 3 Ps. I live by that, because if we can break it down to the threes, which I think is super important to people to realize, all the things that we've got going on in our lives, especially now, if you just focus on the 3 Ps and start with great people that are doing the right job in the right place at the right time, and then patch that with some great products, then we're going to have the performance. Back to what you mentioned about our industry, there's been the aviation industry is like a roller coaster. We ride it, and unfortunately, in 2007, 2008, 2009, we're holding on, some for dear life, of some things in the industry. And then we were really coming back in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2019, a fantastic year for the industry.
Oh yeah. I was flying everywhere.
Yeah, everybody, the economy, everybody was flying, everybody was commercial seats. You couldn't find a seat. They could charge whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Fuel prices were down. Everything was going great. And then, we have the challenges that faced us right now in several different areas. It's not just the pandemic, but also, some challenge in the economy and some uncertainty in world governments and Brexit and all the things that we might not focus on in a daily basis, especially on this podcast. But those things all affect our world. And of course, commercial got shut down, and that was a pain point. And then, defense, and then we have people in the general aviation community that, what should I do? Well, what we found out is there's been a resurgence in general and business aviation. Is I can control my environment. I can control who's on the aircraft. I can make sure
by not going with one of the major air carriers, I can get my private jets or my outsourced jets or my leased jets and really control more of my travel.
Right, and your environment. So I can control when I go. I can control, the schedule. So as you notice, and we're all about supporting commercial airlines, which we do with several of our products. But also we have to take it with the times, and we continue to up our support of commercial aviation. But also we have to tend to how we were founded, and that's really supporting general aviation and business aviation. They're sometimes mixed together. Also the rotor community. So whether it's special missions, whether it's medevac, whether it's you flying your personal airplane to a business appointment, we find that to be even more important now than it was. And I think all that will, again, take a different turn. But right now, that seems to be the focus. And yes, it was challenging in March and April, but our company took a quick turn in first protecting our people, protecting our products, and providing those services in an essential business. Both of our locations, the California location, our Kansas location, protected our employees first. So we put some very stringent protocol in place, And that's the first thing, because without the people protected, we're not going to be able to do what we need to do. So we did
Right, they're
that.
going to be worried about their safety and health. Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Right.
So
So
with
for you
that,
in
we
particular, because I'd love to know about the salespeople you have. How many do you manage overall across both of those areas?
well, there's 9 in our team, and
Okay.
I think I take the precedence that everybody is a salesperson. I don't care who it is. The person that answers the phone, the person in shipping, the person that's building. Every person in our organization is a salesperson, and I do that on new company orientations. Here we say, well, raise your hands if you think you're a salesperson, and everybody's reluctant, right? They hold their hands. And I think everybody is. I mean, you, Sean, and myself, we sold ourselves this morning to get out of the house.
You had to, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do all the time. So I think selling is an ongoing thing. Some people have it at a different level, and that's why we're in these positions. I honor the people that can sit in our labs and work like, they're magicians as well as like doctors. I mean, they're taking delicate pieces of very critical devices that provide safety of flight to people all over the world and dissecting those, repairing them, and sending them back out, as well as our technicians that build in our production facilities those devices that will provide that great service for a long time at a quality and with high safety. So I honor all that, but that my piece really is the team of selling. And I really enjoy spreading that opportunity to people like on this podcast, as to if they can just get one piece of information that would help them be more bulletproof as we change in the way we have to talk to customers and communicate with them. I think is super important for all of us.
So let's talk about what your salespeople saw change then, because in the aviation industry, I imagine it's very easy for your folks to be in an outside sales role, because hey, hopping on airplanes is basically what they're selling anyway, right? Can we get things up in the air to fly? So in 2019, I imagine a lot of outside sales happening. 2020, it shifts. Now, what did people that are in the aviation industry do to pivot your salespeople for this inside sales environment that in large part we all have to operate in now?
Well, let me give you some scope. So in 2019, we had planned to attend in 2020 46 shows around the world.
Wow, those 9 salespeople in 46 shows.
Right, but we have a team, that can handle that, and we have a really great PR and communications advertising support department that arranges all that for us. So we show up and we have a fantastic brand, we have a fantastic product display, and we talk to our customers and prospects. But with that, there was a complete shift. So we actually attended 3 shows last year.
Wow.
Okay, yeah. So not only we were changing up how we, display, how we talk to products, but of course everybody went to Zoom and they went to Teams and they went to Skype and all the other ways that we can communicate. So we had a big shift there, is which medium to pick. Was it social media? How do we communicate? And I really have to go back to what I think is super important. If one of the nuggets that you'll get out of this is really relationships are the base of aviation. I mean, we trail sometimes in our sophistication of things and products. Sometimes, we see electric cars. We're coming with autonomous airplanes, electric flight. You'll see that. You'll see the industry move from, what we've seen in the automotive industry and some of the things that are going into place for 2035. All those are already taking a different shift. We know our industry is doing that. We're very involved with those top companies of autonomous flight and all electric aircraft. We think that is the future, and we're positioning ourselves for that and learning a lot about that with some great leaders around the world. But I think the point of this is the relationships are really the base. So I can call up, or I can communicate, or I can send thank you notes, and I can attend those specific targeted meetings. It is a ton more challenging right now. Okay.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
A, do people want to see you? A, does our safety protocol allow us to travel? B, and C, does the state, or what's going to happen?
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns we all have to factor into every meeting now, that we used to be like, hey, I'll see you on Thursday. You're going to be in? Great. That was it. So for your salespeople then in this new environment, the 9 folks that you have, are they same way that you mentioned your tenure in your industry has been very long? Have your salespeople been in the industry a long time? Do you have some junior folks, or is it a mixture of the two?
Well, again, I've got a couple of salespeople that have been here 30 plus years.
Wow. Okay.
So they're well tenured. I've got, support staff in every area of the company that can support us, and everybody does a fantastic job in their specific area, whether it's our procurement and supply chain, whether it's our quality, whether it's our production and operations. Everybody kind of knows their piece. We're very blessed to have that. We really work through this and try to keep as many people on board as we could.
Mhm.
And we really have done that. Now we're kind of seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. We're have to probably hire some people to go out as
Oh,
things
good. Yeah.
start to creep up. Now it's not going up as quickly as I'd like it to see it go up. It's small percentage points rather than what we saw in 2019. We saw, 2018, 19, we saw 20+% growth. We're
Yeah.
really not forecasting that. We're forecasting it to be rather, flat with small increments of growth. And it will be dependent on some things that happen around the world, especially with vaccine. I really don't want this podcast to be about the pandemic, but
Well,
change is
it affects salespeople, it kind of has to be these days. And
right.
so for your salespeople, then, especially because I know you're talking to other sales leaders in your industry, so this, apply it to your team, apply to the teams that you are in contact with. What is the biggest challenge that folks in your industry on the sales side are having right now? Is it in getting those meetings driven in a new way? Is it even understanding how we use technology and social media? What are you seeing as like that top line thing? If we could solve that for our salespeople, then listening to this show would really be a good use of their time.
Well, I think one of the things is, I kind of look at Zoom calls and team calls and all that. There's tons of relevancy in it, and it's live and it's fantastic. You can see some of the actions that go on, and you can read how they're kind of perceiving it, whether they're in their laptop or whether they're dozing off or whether or not involved and active in the conversation. I really think it's hard to replace walking into a hangar, looking at what's going on, talking to the people on the floor, talking to the sales team as a team, looking at their reactions, presenting your product in person. I think that's really difficult to replace. Mm-hmm. We're doing our best through very, very pointed, very targeted calls, technical support calls, follow-up and technical review calls on our products. There's a place for all of this, and I think we have to turn to that right now. We're also trying to mix in a little bit of travel. We have access to some aircraft that we can take directly to those, and we're being very focused and targeted about those as well. So I think we're using a larger combination of all those tools to do it. But right now, primarily, it's a Zoom, it's a team, it's those things internally. I also think, as we look at that, we've got to think about, what is that doing? Are we able to focus internally about processes and procedures and new products and research and development? Yes. The answer is yes, because we're all together now. Are we going out and seeing our customers face to face and seeing what their challenges and listening to them? No. If I was there in your studio or in your house right now, the conversation would be different.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Your surroundings, we could see what you're, kind of those things. And I think that's hard to replace on any kind of a medium. So we're trying to do the best that we can. Also, to your point of, I think the relevancy of it is really important. Is, you've got to when you're calling up for a Zoom call and you're calling up for an appointment, you've got to be relevant. You've got to actually answer those questions. You've got to be well prepared ahead of time to provide the gain of their strain or their pain, right? Mm-hmm. So provide the answers. Do your research. Don't come in and ask questions. Well, what about this? What about that? You should already know that if you're taking up 45 minutes or an hour of their team's time to come around a call. I think it's really important to be well prepared to understand where they're coming from. A little bit more difficult when you're not visiting their business and being on site. So we're trying to do the best that we can. The experts that we surround ourselves with and the intel that we can get from the internet is fantastic. But does it tell all the story? I don't think so. Some of those things you're going to learn on the call.
You have to, yeah.
Right. So it's really, it's difficult. And I think we have to live with it for a while until we're able to get out there back to 100% and back to 46 shows a year, which I really look forward to. So it's been a big shift. Yeah, for sure.
So for your salespeople then in building this system, so I think I always get a general direction about this point in the show, what would be a really valuable system? Because of course, your sales team's not the only one that's living in that environment now. I think most of us are, where I used to be able to do a lot of pre-call research or pre-meeting research, but really a lot of what I would take in would happen live with my prospect or with my client that I was interested in doing more business with. I could get a feel for their mood, their attitude, look at the stuff on the wall, build rapport in an easier way. And so for the salespeople that you're tracking now, if they could improve one area in that realm, what happens to really make sure that the time that someone spends with me is valuable and relevant, what would that be? And that way it'll give us an idea about what system we need to build.
Well, I think that the systems work for certain industries.
Right.
I'm going to go back to this relationship. Aviation's built on relationships.
Yes.
I think that we've been in it so long, we've been able to see which parts work and which don't work. Our people call us for solutions, right? They're wanting a solution. They're wanting service. They're wanting a power solution. They're wanting our clocks. They're wanting our USBs. They're wanting lithium power. They're wanting more than what's offered out in the marketplace. Okay, so we're kind of at the tip of that pyramid. I see as, we have the highest quality. We've got expert engineering and products that we support very, very well across numerous parts of this industry. And so I think that the system is be yourself. I think that's part of the system. Be prepared is part of the system, if we want to call it a system. Know about your customer. Be well informed about the products that you're trying to represent, and be relevant, because I'm not really sure that there's a system. I think being consistent is a part of a system that you need to employ.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really important one. I think going in the things that we're doing in our system, we're doing 12 points this year of the customer experience, which I call CE plus, which is exceeding the customer's expectation at every touch point. Okay.
Wow. That's a valuable system. And so because the idea being that I want to make sure that folks that listen to this are able to take a little bit about you've got gallons of secret sauce, I can already tell. So we're not going to dip into the bucket and start, pulling bucketfuls out, but I'd like to get a little taste of that so people can benefit from it. And so being able to add value at every touch point, that is massively important, because otherwise, why would I want to respond to your voicemail or your email or your LinkedIn message or your video message? If you're not adding value to my life, I got other things I have to do. And so let's talk about building that across our spectrum of our contact with our clients. Now, I'm sure you're like me in that you advise that, hey, if somebody doesn't get back to me, it doesn't mean that the sale is done. It just means I haven't been persistent enough. I haven't figured out the right method. Maybe they were having a bad day. There's a lot of reasons that it may not close today, but it doesn't mean that I'm allowed to stop as a salesperson if I believe I have value to add. So when you're mapping this out with your salespeople, what do you advise they do first, second, and third to start building those pieces of value across every touch point, as long as this prospect remains a prospect?
Well, I think one of the things, know your product, know what they're paying, how they're going to gain from and benefit from what you've got to offer. Don't waste their time. Don't be annoying. Give the relevancy of your product and provide a solution. Okay. So if it's you, or if it's something that you really need, or don't even identify that you need, point that out to them. Okay. I think a lot of people think about all of the Zoom calls that are going on this morning. Right.
Oh, yeah.
These people only have so much in their day, plus all the things they have to do in their lives, right, to stay relevant. So we do what we call the personal touch. January is all about the personal touch. So am I leaving? Is Sean going to send a thank you note after this meeting?
How did you know?
I will be doing that. Okay.
How did you know?
Yeah. So I average about 150 thank you notes a month, personally written, that I think is one of those things that, okay, how many emails do you have? You don't want to see my phone about how many emails we have. So here's the deal. I don't share this with my IT department, but how many emails will I get? How many notes will we put in my basket? Probably one or two, right? You're probably going to pick that up. How many packages of warm cookies will you get tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Probably none.
You're gonna open that up, right? That's the difference you make. Okay. This month is all about the surprise, doing that extra piece to surprise your customer in a very positive way. Okay. We have demonstration units that are going out. So we're looking at how we can get onto their desk and be relevant, right? With the best, highest quality USB, most powerful, fastest charging. When you get into your car this afternoon, you get in an airplane for sure. What's the first question you're going to ask? How long are we going to be in this, right? If you're in an airplane or a car, how long is this ride? Do we know where we're going, right? And where's my charger? I got to charge my phone. I got to charge my iPad. We provide the best solutions in the industry. So those are things that you have to prepare for and be relevant with. Be the best of the best every single day. Wake up and say, what can I do for that client that's going to make a difference in their life, solve some of that pain with gain? All right.
I love this. So what you're saying is every month, if I understand you, you've got a new value campaign going out. And that this month it's going to be cards. February is going to be warm cookies if I'm a baker. And it might not always be the whole, but a March might be sending USBs out to get people ready for the spring. So there's something every single month that you folks have planned in order to really maximize on those relevant touches to your clients. Yeah,
and that's just my team. So my team's just doing that by themselves, but we've got multiple pieces of social media and AdWords and all those things going out, fantastic promotions that are going out whether it's the internet, whether it's in print, all those things, plus we've got some really fantastic new products that are being announced, and those are being, analyzed and supported by our PR and communications team with top editors in aviation and aerospace around the world. So those are the things that we're doing just kind of, oh, by the way. And then we're going to try to get into some shows later in the year. We're talking to customers, we're visiting, we're making calls and supporting our alliance partners around the world.
The contact activity doesn't stop. This is another layer to make sure that when your name or your company name comes in front of these prospects, they remember you, because every month of the year they've gotten a unique piece of value from you.
Right, and it's something that you'll remember, right? So you've got to be remarkable and memorable, or you're not going to be considered, I don't think, today.
So let's build this into a system people can use. So the idea behind building systems is that we're trimming hope away from our sales strategy. So a lot of salespeople would say, this sounds like a great idea, and I hope I remember to do it. For you and I in our world, that's just not good enough. It wasn't good enough for your dad jumping out of airplanes. It wasn't good enough for me in the Marines when we were hopping in and out of buildings in a combat environment. Hope didn't factor in. It absolutely couldn't. And so for sales, then, let's talk about building this into something people can use. So we talk about trimming hope away from sales strategies. We use the acronym TRIM, T-R-I-M. T for trigger. The triggering event for this sounds like it could be any time of the year, but probably would be best done when I'm looking to map out for the course of the year, could be a calendar year, could be a fiscal year, how I'm going to add value to my prospects at least 12 times in 12 distinct ways for each month of the year. Would that be accurate?
Yes, and I think that it's not, some people might not say, and cookies is just one idea, you can surprise them with something else. Yeah. How many people, I remember in the olden days where your doctor would call you back after your CM visit.
Yeah.
Okay? How many doctors call you back that don't ask, and I love the medical industry, so I don't want to get any emails about that. But the first thing when you walk in is, where's your medical card, right? Where's your copay? And I get that. That's what our industry has been driven to. But what brings you in today? How can we help you?
How you feeling?
My name is David. What solution can we provide? That's the way I think we need to soft touch and find out where we can provide and be relevant and remarkable. So when they walk out of your business, or when they hang up the phone, or when they leave the Zoom call meeting, that you live in a super professional, positive impression that, yes, I want to do business with those people. Yes, I want to continue to do business with those people. Yes, those people have it. Yes, they have the products, they have the solutions that I want to provide. So making a difference is huge in this. So how do you do that with things that are a little irregular, right? So I don't care if it's, I think just kind of going back to the basics of our business. I mean, what are the things that you're not getting that you used to get, right? That you really enjoyed? Food is one. Everybody loves food, right?
Yeah. Outback Steakhouse gift cards. I'm giving my listeners ideas right now for what they can send to Sean. Yeah.
Right. So that might get their attention, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
absolutely.
Those guys called me last week, and here I see that they sent me this awesome demo. Let's plug that in and use it. When the next customer comes in, let's show them the latest in the industry, how to future-proof their cabin and their airplane. That's a solution that no one else can provide except our company. So those are making the real difference.
Mapping this out, then I imagine, or please answer. Do you do this, at the beginning of the year to kind of map it out, and if it needs to shift, it can, or is it a month by month thing to figure out? Okay, this month we got to come up with something. What is it going to be relevant this month? How do you map that out?
So we've mapped it out in great detail across all lines of our company, whether it's what we're going to look at in defense, what we're looking at in commercial, what we're looking at. For each of your
product segments. Yeah, I got you. For your market segments.
Yeah, and we're very careful about what we're going to do for this. What are we going to do in service for these OEMs that we're supporting? What are we going to do for these customers?
With specific enough to the type of prospect you're after, not just saying, all of our prospects could fit into one bucket. They buy aviation stuff. So we're going to do the same thing for all of them. You make it more specific down to the category of line of business that they're in. So it's really relevant for them.
Yeah, and it's very personalized. I mean, I think we buy from people, right? We start out with people, right? And we present that great product, whatever it is, and service. And then we're going to end up them buying things, right? Yeah. That's the carrot that we really want to bite on. So
we're going to map out by product line, by service line, or by market segment. If we have, some people don't, they sell to one type of thing to one person, which is fine. But other people, like me, I've got lots of different people that buy what I do, to be relevant and specific to each of them, depending on their market or their need. So that's the T part, the trigger, to map it out. To make it repeatable, usually this means it lives outside of our heads. So I don't want to have to remember each month, am I supposed to send cards out or cookies? I can't remember, right? So For your folks, does that live inside of a CRM? Is it part of a monthly meeting where you remind them, hey, this is what we're doing this month? How do you make this repeatable so I don't have to try to remember this?
So I really like the world of free.
Yeah.
So, one is, show up, be prepared, be relevant, be professional, and take care of your customers first. Then employ all those things and tactics and support pieces that you had to need. So one of the things is we want to make it as seamless for the customer, that seamless experience. Customers are both internal and external, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to make it a system that works internally as well. So use your staff, use your help, use your support team to provide those things. So what we've done is we'll take lists, we'll take top VIPs, we'll take targeted focused customers within a category, and we will target those people for who's going to get this month, who's going to get that this week, who are we going to follow up with. And then we share on a weekly basis within our staff meeting about what you did. How did you exceed the expectation of these customers? So I can call out to my teammates anytime during the week, and especially on Wednesdays, to say, hey, what did you do last week? Give me an example of what you did. What was the result? How did they take that? What did they say? Did they respond?
And you're bouncing right into it, sir, because my next point was going to be, how do we make it improvable? Which is, you're getting feedback from your team. How did they respond? Was it positive? Was it negative? Was it neutral? And if we're each trying different things or A/B split testing what we're sending out for relevancy, and this salesperson gets great response and this salesperson's mediocre, let's start doing more of what works, right? That's how we make it improvable. And so if we've got the trigger, we've got making it repeatable, we've got making it improvable, the next piece I know you're tracking, which is how do we make this thing measurable? In that we know that the time and the resources we've invested in this are worth continuing in the future. How do you track whether this thing is working or not?
Well, I think a lot of it is feedback. If you call somebody back, a couple days later, and they say, "Hey, I really appreciate what you did for my staff. I really love the USB that you sent and appeared on my desk yesterday." Everybody was wanting to take it, right? So I say, "Well, how many more do you need?" Right? So
exactly.
Those are the things that's the best feedback. Yes. We'll get some feedback through emails and surveys, what everybody else does. You can kind of feel the network of where they're at. Like you said earlier, everybody has something. Everybody that walks into the building, everybody that answers the phone or is on a Zoom call, we don't know what happened an hour, 3 hours, or last night that might affect their attitude. So depending on timing is pretty critical. So I always say time kills deals, right? So you want to be relevant, you want to be expectant, but not be annoying. Don't put them on this. I'm going to call them every Wednesday morning at 8:30 and ask them how they're doing. Did they get this or that? Please don't be robots, be people, because they've got a lot of other things going on. So be relevant. I keep saying that word to make sure that you're going to make a difference. If you don't have a relevant service or support piece or a product to offer them,
what are you doing?
Might be wasting your time, right?
Yeah. You might be in the wrong industry, the wrong field.
Our products are not for everybody, right? But we want to expand that envelope and share the fact that we can do a lot of things for people that have not discovered our products and services yet. We continue to do that. But back to be repeatable and getting that communication back, we share it every week. We also track all the communications that come through our sales and customer service department. So we have 17 different categories of, were you a pilot owner? Okay. Were you from our defense? Were you a commercial customer? Were you an MRO? Were you one of our alliance partners? And we track it that way. And then we do follow-up calls depending on where you fit into that, whether it's a service follow-through. So when you got the service from us, did it come back? Did you get it put in? Did it operate as advertised? That's something extra, kind of back to that, the doctor call. Okay. We're kind of those people, right? We're the medical technicians that are sending out great services and products. Did we exceed your expectation? Did it arrive on time? Those are little things I think, we got tracking, but if I called you to say, hey, Sean, did everything work out on that installation yesterday of that USB or that battery or that STC or the tilt on your radio, whatever you're installing, I think it's super important to convey. That's that extra. They can say, yeah, it's working fine, I got to go. That's fine.
Yeah, oh, great. Yeah. Something is wrong. I want to know about that immediately. So we
want to take care of it.
Yeah.
Right. Got to take care of it. And back to communications, we don't, there isn't emails that sit in our box over the period of time of the day. We cannot afford, like, time kills deals.
Oh yeah.
If you email somebody, like I said, they're not just calling to check the Wichita weather. It's beautiful today, but going to be pretty chilly this weekend, right? They're calling because they need something, right? And we want to be very appropriate. We don't go into voicemails. We're return all the calls. We try not to transfer too many calls. We connect you with an expert. That's really important. I say everybody's an expert if they've worked over 5 years. I happen to be about experts times 3. These people have been here a long time. I'm not going to have all the answers, and they know that. Okay. I can have an IT department solve if they've got some challenges getting our emails, or if somebody is having a challenge with an installation, or if we have a challenge with just a question about this product and the service that we provided. We want to provide immediate, quick answers.
I love it. I love it. So in case the listeners haven't been tracking, we've covered a lot of topics in the world of sales today, covered how to remain relevant, especially virtually during this time when a lot of people are struggling just to get meetings. How do you remain top of mind? We went over that. We talked about customer service. We talked about response time. We talked about making sure that we were communicating in a way that actually added value. I know, Dave and I, we could chat for another hour and a half, I'm sure, at least about all these topics. But for the folks that do have to go out there and get back on calls, how do we learn more about you? How do we learn more about your company? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? LinkedIn, email? Give us all the contact info so folks can follow up with you if they think that might be helpful.
Sure. So go onto our website, mcico.com. I think that's it, or truebluepowerusa.com. That's an awesome way to look at our company. LinkedIn, we post a lot of things there. We're careful about not over, saturating social media, but we do have some really cool YouTube how-tos and some really great flying videos that are on there, flying in testing in our airplanes and some things. I think you'll find it super entertaining as well as relevant to some ideas. They can always call me. I always want to help people. I always want to make a difference. We need to be relevant. I am always open to text, calls, any email communications you want to make. I just want to make it easier for people to be more successful in this world and be relevant.
I appreciate you doing that with us today, sir. So for all of the folks watching or listening, make sure that you are following us over on Bulletproof Selling with Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and check out the podcast, of course, that this show gets to be turned into, and all the other great expert interviews we've done over on Stitcher, iTunes, and Spotify. And of course, for more sales systems to help you replace hope with certainty, and we guarantee we're going to be building what we talked about today into one, go make sure you're checking that out at www.bulletproofselling.systems. So Sean Rhodes here. It's been a pleasure serving you with Mr. David Copeland, also all about service. David, let's go out there and make selling bulletproof.
For sure. Thanks. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you. Thanks, Sean.